the sugars, somehow that seems to
There's multiple modes,
work
multiple
in
paths to the top of the
conjunction.
mountain.
Yeah, and so I'm really eager to look at the calcium part of it with our farm, because we've got a really tight clay farm.
Nice and tight.
Yeah.
Good old worn out ground. Beat to death. Coming along real nice though. All right, drainage compaction, bricks in
Green?
salad greens. That was the question about lettuce and Asian greens. And how do you raise the bricks levels? I'm going to leave that one on because we're going to talk about bricks later today.
That's rock phosphate beside it.
I'm going down this way.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
You got to wait for your question. Fruit tree nutrition and disease. Whose question was that?
The gentleman here, I believe.
All right, we'll come back in a second. And economics of small scale. That was somebody back over here.
Oh,
Okay,
you
me
was
too,
with
You.
but I didn't ask the question.
Okay.
that. Is he here today?
Maybe
I
he's
can
not
do a
here.
third of an acre, that's pretty small.
Yeah. Like I said yesterday, I think I made $700 on a couple thousand square feet yet on Thursday, which is one picking. Yeah, I think you can do amazing amounts of production on small scale. Third of an acre, quarter of an acre, you can do remarkable amounts. I'm not sure how many $1,000s you're looking for. Exactly, yes, that guy from Canada, I can't remember his name, John Martin Fortier is doing, I mean, the number that a number of people are doing is around 100 grand an acre, on a couple acres. There's people out in California doing it. There's, what's his name in Connecticut's doing it for sure. Those guys are doing about 100 grand an acre, fairly regularly. Gross revenue. Gross. Vegetables.
Everyone wants to talk about his revenue.
Gross.
There's a guy in Canada up in DC. He came out with a book not too long ago, but I think it's The Urban Farmer or something like that. He has a third of an acre, claims to make 80,000 on that third of an acre.
Yeah.
Curtis Stone.
Gross
Yeah.
revenue.
Gross.
What's his well, does he have?
On a
I mean,
third of an acre,
this is one
you don't
person.
need to hire
Yeah,
anybody,
this is one person.
and your expenses are really small.
Yeah.
Right? This is the thing about operating at a human scale. I mean, for me, it's like between 1.5 and 3 acres is about anybody should ever endeavor to take on.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, 1.5 to 3 acres. If you're talking about a full-time being a farmer, that's your scale. That seems to be like there's different scales. As I travel around the country, there's different scales that I see. There's the homesteader people who are trying to make a living on a small amount of land. Usually they're doing 1.5 acres, maybe up to 3. 1.5 to 2 seems to be like a pretty sweet spot there for people who want to do vegetables fairly intensively and make a living on it and feed their families. And then there's the people who are actually going to be farmers, quote unquote, and they're doing 10, 20, 40, 50 acres of vegetables. They're the ones running machinery. They're the ones doing tillage. They're the ones hiring staff. They're the ones with the major overhead expenses, right? As soon as you start paying staff, you start to pay taxes, you start to get the government involved, you got to pay, there's just all kinds of hassle once you get above that, 2, 3 acre scale. So my experience is, that's when you start to take out the debt, that's when you start to have machinery, that's when you have to, buy more land, and then there's all this other kind of logistical stuff involved. Yes?
I didn't fully hear the question about the urban farmer, but I've corresponded with Curtis Stone quite a bit through email. If anybody has any questions about his operation, I can talk to you
The
about
guy in
it.
BC.
Yeah.
I do that.
He has tons of information online
Yeah.
too. He always
Yeah.
does like a weekly video blog post and
He's actually got 7 full-time employees on that little urban spot.
that's interesting.
He does several backyards, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's his name down here in Virginia? Joel Salatin.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, in Swoop, Virginia.
The more well you do, the more money you make, the more people you can hire, the more you can support your local community. So depending on what your objectives are and where you're going with this kind of thing, I was walking her land yesterday, and I was like, 500 acres, oh my God, so much opportunity, right? Like,
That'll work.
but
It's 230 openings.
it's 500 acres,
It's 480.
whatever. It's 500 acres.
He's round.
It's like,
He's round.
oh my God! I don't know. It may not. It was last surveyed in the 1600s. Who knows how big it is? But it's a big piece of land, and there's so much you can do if you do the integrated systems and the multiples, the trees and the animals and the four-leggeds and the two-leggeds and the you know, the berries and the nuts and the annuals and the herbs, the fish. There's so much you can do. There's so much production possibility. This is what's so exciting about this whole thing is smallholders are the ones that actually do feed the land, feed the planet, right? Most food comes from smallholders that aren't in the system, right? Those people are the ones that always have fed humanity, and I say, you know, get out of the city, occupy the land, you know, stop engaging in the system that's the problem. Every time you put your energy into it, and the more dependent you are on the system, the more you're part of the problem, right? We're animals, we belong in the land. You know, get out of the system as much as you can, get grounded in the land. You can make an awesome living. You can have a wonderful quality of life. You actually begin to have relationships with the community. I mean, I think we actually do solve a lot of these deeper systemic problems by doing this fairly small scale on the land, you know, more integrated stuff. I mean, Elliot Coleman's another one who's making good money. You know, $100 grand an acre seems like a pretty decent target to be expecting. And then you can afford to pay people, right? And you bring in people who want to have their own land, and you've got a functioning system, and you've got a high-end, you know, like a training model where they come in for a year and they can run a high-end system and they can learn all these different skills, and then they can go and be empowered to do it themselves and train more people.
Cliff Slayton in Surrey, that's where we were at the other day. We met him through VSU. He promotes the 43,560. Whatever square foot an acre is.
Yes,
anyway.
1 acre.
Yeah,
Oh, now I know what you're talking
a
about.
dollar a
Yeah.
square foot is what he promotes.
Yeah.
So he figures $10,000 in expenses and costs of the 43,000.
Yeah.
So he's making netting
Grossing,
somewhere to 30,
netting 30,
3,000
35 an
range,
acre.
roughly.
Yeah.
And he experiments with different things, and he goes back and plants in between his rows other produce like onions to pick up the dollar per square foot. But anyway, he has organic and non-organic.
Yeah. You don't need to be organic.
Yeah. Now,
So-
one
so-
question for you. What you sell from your farm, is it through CSAs, farmers markets, restaurants, stores, what?
I do not do I do not do CSAs. I do not do farmers markets.
Okay.
I grew up doing CSAs and farmers markets, and I found them to be profoundly unlucrative. If you do them on scale, that's a different situation. But if you're doing it on a smaller operation, I find restaurants and health food stores, those are my major, I mean, restaurants are my major customer base.
Okay.
Health food stores, there's a local retreat center. We have a couple sort of buying clubs, like milk buying clubs, you know, the milk clubs that people have for raw milk. So
Yes.
there's already 10 families that are getting together. We email them a list of what we've got. They place their order. We come and drop it off. It's kind of like the restaurant. It's just like a boom, drop it off. We grow everything for ourselves, right? Because we're feeding the family first. But most things we don't sell. I mean, we only sell crops we can make good money on. Like if you put your summer squash in once and you just pick it every 2 days, and you pick it all summer long, like great, people want their summer squash. You got, you know, 100 pounds, 150 pounds coming in a week at $2 a pound. That's $300 on summer squash. Done. Well, $300 a week, that counts as money. You know. Now pole beans, you put them in once, you pick them every couple days. You're getting, you know, 20, 30 pounds every couple days through $350 a pound. You know, you got another $100 on pole beans. Like tomatoes, they're only running for 2-3 months, but when they're in, you know, it's for me, it's like, what are the crops that people will buy that they're used to, that you can make a good return on, don't take a lot of effort as far as, you know, logistical timing, and kale and chard and collards, and, you know, like, just go out there and pick them, and then you go out and pick them again, then you go out and pick them again, then you go out and pick them again. Each time you pick them, you're making $50 or $100. Like, it's just, you put them in, and then that's it. You just go out and pick them. So, some stuff. I mean, potatoes, you know, if I got enough space to run potatoes, I can sell all the potatoes I can grow for $1.50 a pound. You know, you can grow a lot of potatoes on an acre. I don't do an acre potatoes. Carrots and beets, I do some during the growing season. They take a little more effort, but I grow them for the winter for stick them in the root cellar, and then carrots and beets and potatoes people want all winter long, and they'll buy carrots and potatoes. They won't buy turnips. They won't buy rutabagas. They won't buy daikons. You know, but if you got carrots, you got beets, you got potatoes, people will buy them until they're gone. So I try to grow things that I can put in. I don't have to worry much about. and I can not hassle with a CSA with 30 crops over 20 weeks is a ton of effort, and it's just this, you know, massive energy and then no energy, and then I like the slow, steady cash flow
Well,
model.
You see, my wife and I were talking, I'm glad you brought quality of life, about
Yeah.
not working sun up. Because farmers think, hey, I'm proud, I'm loud, I'm proud, I'm gonna work from sun up to sundown, I'm gonna kill myself.
7 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
My neighbors.
I mean, there's more to life than working all the time. I mean,
Last I
the reason
checked.
we wanna transfer back to the farm is because we're tired of all this corporate
You've
crap.
been working all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I work
People
those are my
working
road
more
jobs.
now,
So
you know.
I'm glad you pointed out about quality of life and spending time with your family, because,
Yeah.
you know, other people are enjoying life and the rest of us are taking a bunch in their ass, feeding everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, sorry about that, but you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, so
When I'm out there with
glad
my
people
kids
finally saying
running
that
around.
it's more to life
Right.
than being a farmer, working yourself to death. That gets old, you know?
I've been there, I've done it. I grew up doing it. I did that working all day thing when I was a kid. I can't handle being in a building, sitting down with a screen, working for somebody else, doing something that feels like it's selling my soul. I can't do it. Tried it, it like sucked my life force, can't do it. Like, I love being outside, I love being my own master, but I don't like to work. Like, I like to putter. I like to walk around, I like to play with my kids, I like to, you know,
We call it clerking.
clerking. Sounds
You're
almost
playing
vulgar.
working.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Hey, you know, you got time, you're outside.
Right.
My great uncle had this
Exactly.
philosophy. He says, I don't work, I just play like I'm working. It's a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Anyway, it is 11 o'clock almost, and I haven't even touched the handout, so I thoroughly enjoy the engagement and the dynamic and the camaraderie. I'm going to have to move with some alacrity when we get there. Economics of small scale, was that what that was?
Yeah.
Human effects of quality, talking about human health. I think we'll touch on that later today. Perennials and guilds, that was your question. Polycultures I talked about. I think I touched on that to a decent degree. I haven't studied the companion planting literature as well as I should to know what goes with whom. I definitely do, you know, a lot of plants, families growing in close proximity together, if not immediately together.
Do you have small fruits or orchards, and what are you putting under them?
I am only getting it established. I'm thinking of guilds as far as annuals growing. Yeah, I mean, you can put comfrey, you can put herbs in with all your annuals. I don't know the literature. There's books out there that have this
Yeah,
written down.
okay.
I have, if anybody's interested, I have David Jackie spoken to his workshop on edible forest gardening.
Yeah, which is
Arizona
one of the
Irish
best sort of
workshop on
encyclopedias.
Perennial gardening.
Yeah,
and
it's an encyclopedia.
It's
got a lot of
encyclopedia.
charts of your fruit trees, like with comfrey, I can't remember the.
Okay. Yeah, I've got that.
If you just want companion planting for garden, John Jeevens, Grow More
Yep,
Vegetables,
that
has
one's
good
less
charts
work.
in there.
Yeah,
I've got that book. Anybody
I don't
wants-
agree with his spacing, but a lot of wisdom he's got. We'll talk about spacing in a little bit. Bricks and nutrition. Whose question was that? Was there a specific question behind it?
I think it might have been. mine.
It's the process over time of getting better and better at bricks. How does that work? You'll talk about this afternoon, maybe?
It's on the agenda for today, if we get to it. Powdery mildew and basil, that's one of the, you know, new problems. Right there with late blight, and you guys heard about this one, Drosophila? You said Drosophila yet?
Yes,
Spotted Drosophila that sucks the juice out of your small fruits.
Massive Nutrition will take care of it.
Categorically. Categorically,
I don't know about the basil. On the
No,
fruit-
so-
fruit
Seeds
slide.
off the basil, that'll take care of that.
saving your seeds, it's the store-bought seed. The store-bought seed is crap. It's real simple.
You
it's-
save our seeds, and we have basil like this just everywhere.
And in the middle of August, everybody else's is dead and yours is doing
We're
fine.
still rolling.
Rolling, cruising.
Yep.
The-
Seed quality, so many of our systemic issues go back to the stuff I was talking about yesterday. So many of our systemic issues, you don't have the critical elements for the enzyme system function, you don't have the biology for the, you know, for the symbiosis, you don't have the seed quality, right? I mean, we have, a lot of this stuff is really rudimentary. You are not maintaining hydration, you're not maintaining aeration, your soil's too compacted, your soil's not covered. When you begin to address these systemic issues, these systemic, pieces, then a lot of your underlying issues disappear. And your issues are not going to disappear until you address these issues. That's my perspective, is you can't focus on the symptom. You need to focus on the cause. And the causes for so many of the problems are similar. Does that make sense? That's the basic
Can you
conjunction.
clarify on your basil seed savings, did you do that before you had powdery mildew? Were you already doing that before the powdery mildew problem came in, or after it came in, did you
If
start
it came
saving?
in, I wouldn't save the seeds. I have basil in 3 different places on the farm, and I bought a bunch of seed, and I ended up with the problem. But I had other areas, same dirt kind of thing, because I'm tunnel drawing, kind of used my own saved seed on that, and I had no problems.
Yeah.
So I destroyed all of the stuff that was over where I had the powdery mildew, and it's.
And now you don't have it. This is,
The seed you get is so bad.
seed is,
Let's start selling your seed.
I'm
You
down
gotta
south,
drop
I'm not supposed to use vulgarities. I'm not going to use vulgarities, at least we try to keep it under, yeah. There's a real problem with seed. I'll just say one example, I'll use late blight as a similar type of very virulent issue that a lot of people struggle with. We had late blight come in first in 2009, we blamed it on some things that come up from down south, I'm not sure where exactly, Alabama or something. But UMass told us to take big, construction trash bags and drop them over our tomato plants and zip tie them and cut them off and take them to the dump or bury them or burn them, and that would somehow remove the spores from the environment, which is one of the most stupid suggestions. Does anybody not know how spores work? Right? Off she goes, 500 million of them, right? Stupid. Anyways, so we have this fear of disease thing. It's part of the germ theory paradigm, which is wrong, right? Only when you're weak and susceptible is there an issue. So we had this big issue. Everybody was all worked up about it. That year at our annual summer conference, I was on a panel with somebody from Cornell, somebody from UMass. Paul Stamets was there, and and I was like, I took pictures of my tomatoes the day before and put them up on the screen. Said, "Here's my tomato plants." They're, everybody's like, "Oh well, the blight hasn't gotten to you yet." So I didn't get the blight that year until October. A week or two before the frost, it was getting down to the low 40s, high 30s. The blight came in, it got my plants. Then the frost came and killed them. I pulled the plants up, brought them into my hoop house, and left them all in the hoop house because I wanted to give my tomato plants blight next year to prove there's nothing to be afraid of, which is exactly what I did. I planted my salad greens in the winter. When they were done, I transplanted my tomato seedlings in, and then once I transplanted my tomato seedlings in, I didn't water them. I wanted to stress them out and till they got sick. I waited. There's videotapes. There's like YouTubes of me in this tomato house a couple months later, showing you how to take a conductivity meter reading and a Brix reading. And the tomato plants are 6-7 feet tall, and the green leaves bottom to the top. Those tomato plants, 3 weeks after I put them in, got blight. I waited until a bunch of the plants were dead, till they melted right off, and a bunch more of them had their arms falling off. You guys seen the blight? How it works? Sort of melts right through the leaf, right? I waited until I had a serious case of blight in that hoop house, and then I fed my plants. I didn't do anything besides feed them. I gave them minerals, I gave them inoculants, I gave them hardcore, heavy duty, what's the heaviest duty thing to do? Essential oils. Love. Well, of course, love. Essential oils. A mix of essential oils.
You're gonna talk about this afternoon, right?
No, I'm going to tell you right now. I get it from AgriDynamics. There's one called PhytoGuard, which is a mix of like 8 different essential oils. Jerry Bernetti put it together. There's antifungal, antimicrobial. What's that?
Company again, what'd you just say?
Agri-Dynamics. They are, if you join the organization, it's one of the things in the Mineral Depot. We can get it for you at, distributor prices. That's the whole deal, is we get things at prices that are below retail.
Right, has it also.
Yeah, PhytoGuard, I think, is the product. There were various versions of it he's put together, but this one is a sort of a comprehensive for insects, for diseases. Essential oils, we know about essential oils and their functional capacities as antimicrobial, antifungal, right, immune system support. The essential oils are those compounds which make the plants indigestible to the fungi in the first place. So I gave them foliar inoculants, I gave them micronized minerals, some seawater, some humates, some molasses, some trace elements, and I used essential oils, and I think it was about 10 days until the blight was totally gone. Absolutely, totally gone from the house. not a problem. People are afraid of disease when they really should take responsibility for feeding their plants.
The managers, like.
It's our fault.
Yeah.
We're bad parents. We are raising sick children, and we're blaming the environment for our children getting, diseased. It's our fault because we're not doing a good job of raising healthy children, as far as I'm concerned. And we can understand these different attributes of how to do a better job. And some of it's going to take a year or two to get the system in place, like seed. Seed is not easy. You can buy inoculants, you can't buy good seed. So you know somebody who's got it, and you can wheedle some off of them, right? Yes.
Okay. Maybe everybody else in this room knows this, but you keep saying, like a little while ago, you add seawater.
Yeah.
All right, so,
It's on the agenda in a minute.
okay.
When I get done with this list,
I mean,
I'll
where's
tell you
this
how to
coming?
make.
You run down to the beach and you pick up a little bit?
I'll tell you how to do it yourself,
Okay.
and I'll tell you what I buy, which is that somebody did it for me.
Okay.
Either way, you can make it yourself or you can buy it. Totally easy. Nutrients to put in the ground, I hope we covered that to some decent degree yesterday. Shale and lime, I think that was talking about various different kinds of rock dust that are available locally and what the benefits are. And I might have said before, if I didn't say it, basalt is generally the best kind of rock dust to look for. So there's granites, there's basalts, there's all kinds of different types of rock dust. Generally, your broadest spectrum of nutrients is in your basalts. We talked about how I can't give you a specific answer because I don't know what's going on. Local rocks for local crops and basalt, that's probably the same conversation. You got something you want to say it. High tunnels, your question?
You can answer them as we go along.
I'll give you when you got specific ones. Rock phosphate,
You can cover nutrients and how much to put in.
as far as foliar sprays and all that kind of stuff is concerned, maybe. If I don't, you can ask me more questions. There's a question about rock phosphate specifically, yes?
Just to lead back to high tunnels, one of the things that I do is manage a medicinal plants nursery.
Yeah.
And as we're talking, I don't really have a question articulated yet, but if you have anything about managing nursery stock, because, I'm often thinking, like, how do I work and keep the biology alive in this pot,
Yeah.
when it's walled off from everything else? And
We're going to talk about roots and top and bottom and nurseries and
I do a ton of like compost tea and vermicompost application and make our potting soil vermicompost.
this guy works on this. You know this guy in the yellow shirt? You should talk to him. I've got some thoughts, but the more people meet each other and talk to each other and have time for longer conversations, the better. When's the last time a tree picked itself up, chopped its roots off, cut its head off, screwed somebody else's head on, and moved over and, screwed into the ground in a different spot? It doesn't seem natural to me, right? As a farmer who wants to put in a whole bunch of trees and doesn't want to pay $15 a pop, I've got a number of thoughts about this topic, but I think that they should germinate in the ground, personally. So I don't want to put you out of business, but
It's not my business. But
not your business, it's fine. Yeah, bare roots I think are really bad. I think the top and bottom balance is really important. We'll talk about that today.
Yeah.
I'll touch on some of this stuff as I can.
The rock phosphate question was quantity. Everywhere I go, I get a different amount,
Yeah,
a different scale for how much I should put on
yeah.
1,000 square feet.
So what I say is take your soil test, and your soil test, the target level there for phosphorus is 75 parts per million. And we know that on the thing from yesterday, it said that rock phosphate is 20% phosphorus. So you can do your math on how many pounds of actual phosphorus you need in that soil.
And I was using it for the calcium.
Well, there's 20% calcium as well.
Right, so I should
But
maybe
it
get
also
different
has a bunch
calcium.
of other traces.
Yeah.
You've got multiple things you can work with, and I think I have a decently laid out there on the handout from yesterday of what the percents are, of which element and which
So I should
material.
look at the percentages when I'm using it.
If you want to figure out math and say how much do I actually need, then that's the whole principle behind what I was doing yesterday.
It's available over such a long period of time, you don't have to worry about getting too much. Reeves always says put down 1,000 pounds per acre with 2,000 pounds of calcium
Yeah.
on top of it, because if the phosphorus floats up and the
Phosphorus goes up and the calcium goes down, and the energy released.
They'll connect together, and
raise
Like baking
conductivity.
soda in the soil and fluff it up.
Yep.
Huh?
I have a calcium deficiency, obviously, and rock phosphate was suggested.
Yeah.
Probably has,
Doing
yeah, it
that
has
in
a fair
addition to
amount of
calcium.
calcium in it, yeah.